my brain works on cycle because we humans work on the circadian rhythm. And inside of the circadian rhythm, we have the ultradian rhythms. And we don't respect those rhythms when we work. But if we were to work by batches of 90 minutes, take a pause and resource and regenerate, you would be way more efficient and you can achieve, honestly, I had a company with 205 employees and I was working not more than 4 hours a day. And that company was doing close to $100 million.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Going Beyond the Deal podcast. Today, I have my new friend, Mr. Jean Fallacara, scientist, entrepreneur, biohacker, and founder of Lifespanning. Welcome to the show, Jean. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm very well. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. And it seems like we're going to have fun.
I think so. Where are you? Where are you right now, Jean?
I'm in Miami.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Was
a little bit warmer than New Jersey, I think.
Absolutely. But remember, I lived in Canada for so long. I was used to the cold and not anymore. Not for me anymore.
Yeah. I mean, so right now, just so you know, we're going to be talking about biohacking today. I normally have a chiller on my cold plunge set at 45 degrees, but I haven't had to have the chiller on in quite a while now. So when I pulled the thermometer out today, it was 40 degrees without any chiller. So Ooh. I was able to do my 3 minutes this morning. So
yeah, that's great. When I was in Canada, I was actually digging a hole in the lake because I had a house on the lake. And I was doing my cold plunges in that lake. Today, it's, of course, in Miami, you need a chiller. You need it.
Yeah, you need to have the chillers. But in the summertime, I learned that the hard way when I tried to keep putting ice in it. It just got to be a pain in the neck. So,
no.
So Jean, how did you get into? Let's first start by saying, can you define biohacking for the average everyday listener that has never understood this term? They maybe have heard this buzzword. Yeah. Explain it in very simple terms.
It is a buzzword, to be honest, because biohacking, it's very hard to define as a term. Briefly, it could be taking whatever is available around you, using the environment and your own biology to try to optimize your life and your longevity. That could be it. But I do agree with you that is a buzzword because it became very, very trendy, thanks to Brian Johnson, of course. And at the end of the day, when you look at it, like you were talking about cold plunges, we are talking about meditation. We're talking about sauna. We're talking about walking and exercising and taking supplements. But I believe that all these things are actually natural behaviors.
Or they should be.
They should be. They should be part of everyone's life. And we shouldn't need to put a word on what we're trying to do to optimize our life. It should be the natural process that we have been educated for. And unfortunately, it falls back to education. As I said, we should be as we have been educated for, but we're not. And this is the problem. So biohacking, it is trying to optimize your life by using first what is around you, the environment, and what you ingest, and those technologies and technique to make sure that you trigger the right stressors, or you pace down your central nervous system to get close to hormesis and as much as you can.
For sure.
That's about it. It's, the difficulty is like, who owns the term biohacking? Is it biohacking? Is meditation biohacking? So some people, I'm a biohacker. What is a biohacker?
Yeah. Well, I think I put in one of my my biographies, somebody's like, I'm interested. I'm a biohacker. I'm an amateur biohacker. But today I'm a podcast host, and as you know, Gene, the majority of the people that listen to this podcast, that tune in, via YouTube or Spotify, Apple, we have a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, executives, corporates, service providers, professionals, people that are very active in the business world. And the one gift that I would like to give all those people is, maybe some simple tips around how to optimize, their life using biohacking, as we'll say it, but maybe just to lead a more optimized life, or at least maybe a little bit more intentional and more thought out. I mean, that's the one thing about me, is I'm very intentional about my life. I realize that life and time is very finite, and I want to make the most of it while I'm here. So how about we get started kind of talking about your origin story, who you are, where you came from. I hear a little accent there, so I'd love to hear kind of how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, I was born in France, and I moved to Canada to start my first company back in 93. And as an entrepreneur, I studied before going to Canada. I studied pretty much everything that was related to science. I'm a nerd. I'm a scientist, like a pure scientist, really. So I studied biotechnology, biology, immunology, genetics. Ended up by studying even artificial intelligence and virtual reality. But I do love science, and I have a problem. Is like I suffered ADHD, so I couldn't really put my focus like every kid's on TV and other stuff like that. So what I was doing, I was reading publication all the time, scientific publication. Ended up by having a great knowledge of pretty much everything on every single aspect that was always related to science. But deep inside of me, outside of the scientific system that was in my brain, I was an entrepreneur. I honestly, at the age of 14, I started the first business selling postcards to old ladies in the street. And
really?
Yeah. Then at 18, I had the first disco mobile that was created in France, and I was the first and the only one having a disco. I was a DJ and going in the street with a car and a truck and doing race party out there. Now it's copied everywhere.
I never heard of this before. Disco mobile. We need more of these. It sounds great.
Yeah. So well, was always like having fun and putting the business side in perspective, because in this economical system we live in, everything is related to business. And it was absolutely out of my mind to work for someone. So I tried. I started my career as a product manager and then quality director at Fischer Scientific Company.
Okay.
But it was enough for me. After a few years, I just said, like, I want to go back to what I think I am, an entrepreneur. So I moved to Canada, I started my first business, and like every single guy that started his first business, I went bankrupt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What was the first business?
So it was a business in the environmental control and kind of testing equipment for lab analysis related to air, water, and soil. But from there, like, my first business was a mess, but I was lucky enough to start again with a loan from my father-in-law of $50,000 and turned that company into a $32 million exit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then,
so what was that company that you had the $32 million exit for?
So that company was CSI and was sold, actually. And from there, because I was an entrepreneur, I actually invested this money and borrowing the same money to acquire another company that I turned out to put to turn public in at the KOSDAQ, the stock exchange market in Korea. Exited that company as well and started, but short story short, 11 companies later, I created Lifespanning. And to go back to your question, how I ended up being in biohacking and as an entrepreneur. So biotech is my field of competencies in business, but biohacking was always part of who I am. I've tried my entire life to optimize everything I was doing, pretty much related to sports. But the brain is fascinating. And if you find a tool to optimize your brain, you can optimize pretty much everything in your life. You can be like, you are intentional on what you're doing, but what is being intentional is using your brain to create what you want to do and to visualize what are your goals and things like that. So the more you optimize your brain for efficiency, the more you're going to be a great biohacker and a great performer and a great entrepreneur. Today in our society, I remember when I was younger, entrepreneurs were like, "Oh, I'm going to sleep when I die."
Mm-hmm.
Forget that.
Not going to work.
Not going to work. Sleep is number one factor for longevity, but as well, I'm fighting since several years against our economical system and the way that we have set our companies, making people work from 9 to 5 behind a desk and sitting and staring at the computer without having the opportunity to say, like, my brain works on cycle because we humans work on the circadian rhythm. And inside of the circadian rhythm, we have the ultradian rhythms. And we don't respect those rhythms when we work. But if we were to work by batches of 90 minutes, take a pause and resource and regenerate, you would be way more efficient. And you can achieve, honestly, I had a company with 205 employees and I was working not more than 4 hours a day. And that company was doing close to $100 million.
Yeah. So, it's funny you say that. Yeah. That's been one of my greatest hacks, right? I'm going to use a, pun intended here. One of my greatest hacks that I was taught by my executive mentor, Charles Scott. He was chief of staff at Intel. He's been a guest on the show before, but I have 90-minute work blocks followed by meaningful recovery. And the more that I can stack, I can stack as many of these 90-minute blocks, I'm way more efficient in 90 minutes than I am if you just said, hey, give me a full 8-hour day, right? And I'd challenge anybody to that. Give me 2 90-minute work blocks and I'll probably be more productive than somebody that's going to spend 9 to 5 and not get up.
100% with you on that, completely. And I think we need to educate our young kids and probably shift the system, the scholar system, and put that into the education system, trying to teach our kids how to work and how to work efficiently. It would be nice, actually, because look, millennium, they don't want to work. But if you tell them, well, listen, if you work well, you can work 2 or 3 times 90 minutes and be very efficient, maybe they're going to take it. And the youngest generation even more. I remember when I sold my company to Intest, a public company, I had this board meeting and it was like these guys from the board sitting around the table and I was there and they go like, okay, tell me what you do in a day for your business because we're buying your business. And I go, wow, yeah. I wake up in the morning, I go outside, I stretch, I take some sunlight. Then I go to the gym for an hour and I do my workout and then I do meditation. And then I go to my office and I work 90 minutes and then I pause and I go for a walk and then I come back and I work for 90 minutes. And they go like, you're telling me that we're buying your company and you're working 2 hours a day. And I go like, well, you're the buyer. I'm the seller. If you decided to buy my company, you have to know how it is to be efficient. And that's it. That's all.
Yeah. And most people don't understand that. Most people have no idea how much more they can accomplish in their day if they're just better structured about it. But let's get into it for, most business owners that I meet. I mean, there's some out there that are, not like this, right? But for the most part, most people don't understand that if you're not strong in mind and body, you're not going to be able to be strong in anything else. And it is literally the lowest hanging fruit to leading an exceptional life. And I will take that to my grave. And most people don't understand that. How are you, like, who are you dealing with on a regular basis, and how do you see this playing out? I mean, are you working with a lot of high performers that are burning out? Who are you working with?
Well, the first person you're working with is yourself.
Yes.
And you have to understand yourself before you understand others, whatever the horizon they're coming from, high performer or not, or athletes or executive. Is like, first you need to understand how your brain processes information and how you can build the resilience that is required, 100% required, to be an entrepreneur. Because most people will think they are entrepreneur, but after a certain time of challenges and a hectic situation, they just give up. And they give up because they don't have the resilience to stay. And that makes a big difference between high performer entrepreneurs and others. And this is it. So you have to learn that thing, how to be resilient. And going to a cold plunge will probably teach you some sort of resilience.
Where do people start? I mean, where would you start? I mean, if somebody, let's just take 10 steps back.
Mm-hmm.
What is the telltale sign that you aren't ready to be an entrepreneur? You're not resilient. If there anything that's like really glaring that they wake up in the morning, they feel a certain way. When is it that somebody should start really like digging into this and figuring out, hey, I need to be intentional about this? You said that people need to understand the way that their mind works, right? And so let's say they understand now that, if you don't have a plan B, you only have plan A. How do you know where to start executing on plan A?
Well, you're going to fail because plan A is not a single straight line from A to B. It's actually a vision that you have and that you're going to implement day by day and actually try to figure it out, how to implement and to execute it. And in the long road and in the long path to success, you are going to really fail so many times. But remember that the fastest you fail, the fastest you have to raise up and keep going and change and do another thing. I haven't started one single company in between the 12 companies I had in my life. I've never had a company that was a single straight line, a highway where you go from A to B and knowing exactly where you're going. You have to change your plan and your execution plan as much as you can. Change people that are in the team, change the execution plan, change everything as fast as you can. Because if you insist too much in going in the wrong direction, you pay the high price of bankruptcy of your system and your company. So you have to be very adaptable. You have to be kind of visionary without the arrogance that this term is taking. But you have to be ready to shift your mind when it's not working.
Got it.
But never give up.
Of course, never give up. So let's get into a little bit about longevity and the science of longevity. How does aging actually work, and what is accelerating that aging process?
It's a very complex system, aging. So it's an overall kind of failure of the beautiful system we are, humans, with the billions of cells that create a human and the billions of chemical and biochemical reaction we have in our body. When you think that a single molecule made of 3 amino acids can trigger so much in your body, from the growth hormone to the sleep to make your muscle move. Think about it. Just like us being here, our brain is already in neuroplasticity because we're learning from each other. And this creates chemical reaction. Each and every single chemical reaction, if you have a spike of cortisol, will impact your muscle, will impact your digestion, will impact your hydration and everything. So we are so complex that the concept of aging is very difficult to put in a small box and say, oh, aging is like ending your life and decaying. Decaying is probably right, but aging is actually the fact that many of our cells are going in apostasis, in a death, and some cells actually half die. They're half dead and half alive. So they're not efficient, but they're still in your body. And the whole process of this concept create more and more inflammation in your body. And the more inflammation you have in your body, the less your body is going to be responsive to everything. And from the non-responsiveness of your body, organs will start to be less and less efficient. And so you're going to increase your pace of aging in that direction to a certain point where you have organ failures or system failures or brain or heart or whatsoever. I am convinced, and the science have shown that we are designed as humans to live 120 years. Okay. Not many have been to that line so far. Jean Calment is one of them. But the pity is that in America, men die by the age of 79 and women at the age of 81.6 or some things like that. So we are still doing some things that is not right, because our system, our biology, our cells, the way that they divide and change, and your body change every 7 years. You have a new body pretty much every 7 years. So the way that we recreate our body, it's not efficient enough in the way that we live in our society today. And this is what we need to change, is the way that we are feeding ourselves, sleeping, activity. Well, those are the 3 main pillars, I would say. And if you start adjusting those 3, start by sleep, you're probably going to extend your life at least a dozen of years. But keep in mind, 120 is the goal.
Got it. So can you, what's the difference between, when you talk about this kind of things, what's the difference between lifespan and health span?
Great question. So if you look at the human today, let's say most of them are dying at the age of 80, but the 10 last year of their lives are pretty much miserable. Mm-hmm. Like it's a line from 0 to 70, and then it's a fall from 70 to 80, and they end up in hospital and retirement houses, not moving or sitting in a chair, wheelchair. So this line is the lifespan. It's the time that you are going to live. The health span is 70. The last 10 years is not health. It's just like surviving. It's part of the lifespan. So health span is being healthy as long as you can. Like Peter Attia was saying, like, for me, the goal is not to live to 120 or 150, is to live at least up to 80 or 90s, but on this straight line of being healthy. And that would be called health span. So And this is how I created lifespanning, actually. It's because some people talk about lifespan, some people talk about health span. And I said, like, listen, we have a simple word that we can use. It's lifespanning. It's using all the technologies and biohacking and everything that you can find around you to optimize your health span in order to have the longest lifespan as possible. And if both points join together, you're in a perfect, because we're going to die. There is no
death and taxes.
Yeah, exactly. This is like, this is like secured. Even if like some friends are saying like, oh, it's possible that we are going to be immortal or live forever or don't die, but it's actually not possible. Scientifically speaking, it is not possible because of the complexity of our biology. It's like, even if we if we fix one trigger or one part, even the concept of aging cells, we're not going to fix the concept of reaction and inflammation and other system in our body. So we're going to die for sure. Yeah. So we better enjoy.
The first time this ever really came to me, really understanding this, was my father passed away in 2009, very, very suddenly. 57 years old.
Whoa.
Completed the Florida Ironman at 55 years old.
Wow.
I mean, 8-pack, the most elite shape that you could think of for somebody of that age. And I remember after he died, speaking to a therapist, and I said, well, what's the point? I said, what's the point? I might as well smoke cigarettes, drink heavily, eat bacon cheeseburgers every day, do drugs, do all these things, because what does it really matter? Because even if you try, to do certain things, what's it going to matter? I'm probably going to die young anyway. And the therapist said to me, but it's the quality of your life. Mm-hmm. How do you want the quality of your life to be throughout time, right? And how do we alleviate those last 10, 20 years, right, of suffering, suffering? So what I'd love for you to be able to provide the listeners with today is, how would someone start really paying attention to these things? My kind of, let's say, call it a playbook, if you will, a beginner's playbook. I think it was, in order to change anything or change habits, change anything, you need data, right? And that's how I do everything that I've done. People, I've gone from being, 200 pounds to 7.2% body fat,
really?
Veins on top of veins on top of veins, like just crazy shape. People are like, well, how do you do that? I said, data. It's tracking data, changing variables, and then you can figure that out along the way. Yeah. So my thought to start would be, I'm a Whoop guy. I like it. Some people do things. So what is a beginner playbook for somebody to start thinking about biohacking and how to live a more fruitful life?
Well, you are on point on that. If you don't have the numbers, you cannot start. You could start by saying like, okay, I'm going to optimize my sleep. I'm going to optimize my food, and I'm going to start by exercising. This is great. This is actually, if you don't want to spend money on anything and do nothing else, you could start by that. But if you have data, numbers, blood, it's coming from the blood. You need to know what is happening in your body. So I'm not telling you go for a full body scan right away, but at least go to your doctor every 6 months and take a nice blood panel. Now you can go to certain company and you can have 100 biomarkers for like $200. So go for that. The problem is like, the problem of our society today is like, okay, if we put and we pile up too much data, people get lost. You need a certain discipline on that. Like and I like Whoop, I like Oura Ring, I like those trackers. But once again, the dark side of all these trackers is how our brain responds to it. If you become obsessed by data, you actually go counterproductive. And that happened to me. Why I changed from saying I'm a biohacker. I've been a biohacker for 25 years. Okay. So why did I change my mind and say, like, I don't want to be called a biohacker anymore. I want to be called a lifespanner, because to a certain point, I was tracking all that data, from blood every month to brain scan and to brain measurements and URA on top of Whoop, on top of this, and on top of all these trackers, and putting all the data together. Did I sleep well? I don't know. I'm going to check if my URA is saying that I'm sleeping well. But what's your feeling? So proprioception is probably where you need to start. Put the data on top of it and start to learn how your body reacts. Start to feel your body. Start to understand what are the signals that your body is sending you. Gray hair, skin tight or not, tongue, what color is your tongue, the white in your eyes, is it white or is it yellow? Are you shaking? Are you sleeping well? Are you breathing? Like, do you have difficulties to breathe? Those things need to be learned and not taught. Like, no one will tell you these things during the day, because it's only you. You're with yourself. But yes, start with data. Take a blood panel. From the blood panel you have, look at what are your deficiency or what you should look at. But don't get obsessed about one parameter. I've seen so many people going for the first blood draw and getting 100 markers. My testosterone is too low. My LDL is awful. My HDL is awful. My ApoB3, ApoB, sorry for that. My zinc is not in line. Okay, but don't get obsessed. Remember that the biology of every single human is so complex, and it's not adjusting or obsessing over one parameters that will change the game. Like, it's an overall concept. Like, your testosterone is low. Oh, I'm going to go for TRT. No, there's other things to do first.
Yeah. But the problem is, though, is that most people, in my opinion at least, this is way too complicated. This is too much. This is too much. This is too complicated, right? So is there a way for you and I right now to make it a little less complicated for people, right? So, like, going back to kind of practical framework, I would think the big ones would be sleep, movement, strength, mindfulness. Those would be kind of the things that I would kind of start with for most people. As far as sleep is concerned, what's an easy thing that someone could start doing? I would give you mine, and you can give me yours if you'd like. I would say consistent bedtime and consistent wake up. No matter, the days of, I'm 43 years old, the days of me going out and partying and doing this and doing that just isn't really the case anymore. So for me, I try to stick to a same bedtime every night. I don't get enough sleep for sure. I typically go to bed anywhere between 9:30 and 10 o'clock.
Great.
And I wake up anywhere between 4:30 and 5:30 every day.
That's very early. Yeah.
What do you think as far as sleep is concerned? Are you an 8-hour-a-day guy no matter what happens?
You know what? I'm trying to stick to the 8 hours for sure. I go to bed by, I agree with you. The strict routine of going to bed is fantastic, is one of the most successful biohack you can use. But it will still depend on the setting of your bedroom. You need to be in the dark. You need to be cool enough, like not the temperature over 75, and try to be below the 70 would be great. But one of the things that many people forget is like, okay, I'm going to bed at 9:30 every day and I'm trying to wake up at 6, let's say. But until 9:30, they're on their phone. And that's not good. And that is not good. Like 2 hours before going to bed, you should definitely just like dim the light in your home and forget your phone. My phone at 9, I go to bed at 10. So my phone at 9 shuts down completely. And it opens up the day after at 8 a.m. And there is no escape from there, because I've learned that if it looks very innocent. It looks like without impact. But if you are staring at your phone, your dopamine level is really bumping up. And that goes against your melatonin secretion and your sleep. So you're compromising your sleep. If you have the right environment, the right settings, and you go to bed at the right time, try to extend a bit that process. And like 2 hours before, at least an hour before going to bed, avoid your phone when you get into your bed. If you fall asleep right away, that's good for you. But if not, take a book and read 2-3 pages that will just like clean up your mind. You could also do breath work. Works super well before or when you step into your bed, and try to wake up always at the same time. I agree with that principle. It is great because like some people say, oh, I'm going to sleep on the weekend. Like sleep is something that you cannot neglect, because when it's lost. And it's completely linked to brain degeneration. So when you have 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, or even an overnight without sleep, it's not going to come back to you. It's some things that, the compounding effect. It's there.
Got it. Yeah. Got it. So I think, I can share with the listeners, kind of my typical daily routine. So what I'm doing, but what I really love from you is to kind of help us set up a starting point for entrepreneurs as to what they should be doing on a daily basis. So I'll give you my routine. You can give me a grade on it. I'm probably a little bit of an overachiever here, but typically I try to get 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night. That's how I start. I don't do a lot of phone before bed. I read every night before bed. Every morning, I typically do some sort of a strength workout, like 4 days a week. I lift weights. 7 days a week, I do something active in the morning. I get a minimum of 10,000 steps a day. Like I'm always, I'm standing right now as we're recording this podcast. I stretch daily. I do daily breath work. I cold plunge every single day. And I try to sauna once per week. But I feel like the big anchors for me has been the workout in the morning and then the stretching in the evening. It's kind of the way I start my day and the way that I end my day. How would you recommend someone to really kind of set up a routine for life spanning? What would you recommend to the average everyday person that's not overly complicated, difficult, and hard to achieve? Give me the basics here.
So that's the thing, everything is based on science. So you have to follow the science, and what you're doing is actually backed up by science to be efficient and to be working very, 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 very well. I don't know when you do meditation, but that's the thing that you need to add if you don't do it.
I do. I'm sorry. I do some breath work and meditation every day as well.
So I apologize. You're complete there.
Yes.
Everything you do is great.
Good.
One of the small detail that change a life is, our brain accepts information and small stack of things. So when someone listened to what you just said and haven't done anything yet, is going to be, I can't do all these things. So to these people, I say like, okay, start by one thing. When it becomes an habit, add a second one. And if you feel that it's going to become an habit, add a third one. And you end up by having over 65 small habits in one day. And you don't even realize that you're doing 65 things to optimize your life. The first thing I do when I wake up, It's actually drink water and salt. Yes. It's because our brain shrinks at night and we need that. And I do stretch right away in the morning as well.
Okay.
We are humans. Our biology is based on the circadian rhythm. So we need to go outside before 10 a.m. This is not negotiable. Mm-hmm. You have to get outside and have the sunlight. Forget the artificial lamps. It's not working. You have to go outside and have 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever you can do, but get it. Because if you don't get it, your biology is not working and your sleep is going to be compromised. And it's a vicious circle, because if you don't sleep, you're going to back at catch 21. But everything you do, it's perfect. And exercising in the morning, I'm a big fan of that. I'm with you. Exercise is probably the number one factor of longevity, because when you're 43, sarcopenia is a process that we cannot avoid, but with strength training and weightlifting, you can actually avoid that or reduce it or make sure that
that's muscle loss. That's losing muscle for the average everyday person here.
Sorry, it's true.
It's okay.
Yeah. But it's true, because when you turn to be 60, 70 or 75, you need muscle just to raise your body from the toilet, for example, from a chair. Yeah. And if you can't do that, you fall, because and stretching is good for fascia as well. But you need mobility. You need to be able to move and not fall all the time when you try to do something. So to go back to your question, please start by doing one thing. Choose the one that you find the easiest one for you. If it's drinking a glass of water with salt, do that. It's going to change your life. You're going to feel better. Go outside. That's not negotiable. But then, if you can't work out for 4 times a week for an hour, do it 20 minutes. That's okay. If you cannot do 10,000 steps, science have shown that 7,000 steps is as efficient as 10,000 steps. So do 7,000 steps. It's not a big deal.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. Just do something. But I think the people that listen to the show are high performers, right? Mm-hmm. And they need they're box checkers like I am, right? So give me the boxes that they need to check. Upon waking, hydration is key.
Movement.
Making sure that you're getting outside and getting natural sunlight for 20 minutes a day. Right. Maybe that's going for a morning walk or something like that. Some form of exercise, whether it be for 10 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes, right? Some form of exercise every day. Regular sleep.
Important.
Right? And then it sounds like, from what I'm hearing from you, some sort of breath work / meditation could be another piece of low-hanging fruit for somebody to do. Can you get into that a little bit further?
Yes, definitely. So high achiever are mindful. They set their intention. So you need to set your intention for the day. And one of the best tricks to have to set your intention on what you want to achieve, you don't need to set your goals for the day like with the checklist. This is BS. A checklist doesn't work. But set 3 intentions for the day, 3 things that you can realize and that you're going to focus on and make sure that you'll do it. So one of the best way to get to that is, you do breath work. So you're present and you're mindful enough to be at that stage in the moment. You can do meditation, kind of just mindfulness meditation. And when you finish to meditate, it's going to be so clear that you can set your intention for the day. You can write them down to go for meditation and read them after. It's going to be a great thing for a high achiever and say, okay, my target today is to do this and to achieve this. So many people make the mistake, like they qualify themselves as high achiever, but they have a checklist of probably 10 to 15 things to do in one day. This is not possible. This is ridiculous. Yeah. It's just like you're pushing back.
Start with one. Just start with one.
One is great. And be grateful as well, because gratitude is something that we forget. But gratitude, when you go to bed at night, be grateful for what you've done during the day, for the people around you, for your life. And remember, don't be an asshole, because social life is a key factor for longevity.
It really is. Real quick on the meditation and breath work thing, something that I've been trying recently, which has been really remarkable, is listening to, like, they call it hemisync. The Monroe Institute put it, it's like different sonic frequencies. I have the big old school headphones. And what it's become for me is, it's almost like, before I start something, right? Maybe before I start that 90-minute work block, I do 5 to 10 minutes of this, right, for recovery.
Nice.
And it's almost like I think about what I need to achieve next. And it's almost like throwing a boomerang out for 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes later, the boomerang comes back. And I'm in the right mindset to kind of go into that next task. It's been really almost scary, remarkable for me. Yeah. So I have to say that's been something that I've been doing recently. I just got turned on to it. Monroe Institute, very interesting.
It's interesting. Like I think that the company from Germany called Endol Sound was doing some things that is very interesting. Like, you could use the same concept as you're using before work, but you can even put it in the background of your office when you're working, and it's synchronized. Everything is related to the waves of your brain, delta, alpha, and so on. Yeah. So when you want to work on focus mode, or like dedicated to the task, you need to synchronize your frequencies in the brain at the same pace and make sure that you're efficient. Breathwork helps. Sound and binaural sounds and noise and white noises, different frequencies could help for that. I love it. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I have we call it the $1 million question. I ask all of my guests on the show, and I'd love to have the question for you, and then we'll get into how people can find you, how people can work with you, et cetera. But the $1 million question is, when you look back on your journey, personally and professionally, what's one moment that felt really small at the time, but ended up changing everything for you?
My daughter, when she was born.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
It felt small at the time?
Oh, it felt, I don't know, my life shift completely from, I was obsessed. Grant Cardone say, be obsessed. I agree in certain way. I was obsessed by achieving, changing the world, building things. But when you have this tiny little piece of, you don't know what it is, in your hands, and you're just putting in perspective that, what do I have to fight for? What is the perspective of the future? Why I'm here, and what is the things that I can control? Time. And the time when you have a kid, daughter or kid or son or multiple kids, the time is something that we can't control. But the notion of losing control on time speeds up when you have a kid.
Absolutely.
And when you are an entrepreneur, the ultimate goal of every single entrepreneur is freedom, okay? And what you're trying to achieve with the multiple companies you have, exits, whatsoever, it's always achieving freedom. Here's the trick. When you have a kid, you are ready to give up a part of freedom that you will never get back. So your life has changed at that moment.
Yes. It's funny. I wrote an article the other day I write a lot, and my daughter is 6. I'm a girl dad as well. And I put her to bed at least 5 nights a week. Still, I sing to her. I do all these things, and she still enjoys it. And there's been times in the past where I rushed through those moments where I was thinking about the deal, the next thing, somebody texting me. And I think how lucky I am that she just wants me to sit there with her and hold her hands, and I get to smell her hair, and I just get to hold her. And it's such a finite moment, but it's really the one thing that it's the leading force for everything in my life.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
it
powerful.
shifts. Yeah, it shifts everything that you have, and at 6 is I remember these moments, but don't miss any of these because business is not that important.
It's really not. It's really not at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Jean, how do people find you? Who are you looking to speak to? How can we help you here on the show?
Well, I'm creating one of the probably I believe I'm creating a world-changing platform where people will definitely have the tools to live longer. My dream has been, I want longevity to be accessible to everyone and not just for the rich, because I've been part of this 0.1% where I've seen my friends and everyone spending thousands and thousands of dollars in health. But I want everyone to live longer because 8 billion people on this planet and 8 billion people deserve to live to 120. So I'm building this dream where I'm setting up a platform where you can get free advices. And from there, you can buy our product or you cannot buy our product if you want, but it's optional. But the longevity guidance is free. So this is what we're building at lifespanning.com. This is our platform. It's probably going to be $1 billion company at the speed we're going. We're growing 100% month over month. So it means like people are really into longevity and they want to live longer. So I'm glad that I took the decision to set up this new tool. But that's about it. Yeah. Hopefully, for me, when people say, I've been smoking, I've been drinking, but today I took the resolution that I'm going to change my life. This is music to my ear.
I love it. I love it. That's great. Well, Jean, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you everybody for going beyond the deal with us today. Again, Jean Fallacara, please check out lifespanning.com. We'll have it all in the show notes. A lot of free advice on longevity and extending your life. But Jean, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome pleasure.